There we go. There we go. There we go. There we go. I don't know what was going on. I tried to do a little 30-second countdown to get you here, but it didn't. It didn't work. But we're trying out some new stuff. We're trying out some new stuff. Hey, Merry Christmas.
Whoops. What's that?
You just knocked over the lights.
All right.
Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. And it came out, so I don't know if we can see. Welcome to Hits and Heels. While we tear everything up over here, but that's okay. We're gonna keep it moving. We got some new lights and trying out a new camera and video and audio and all that type of stuff. Trying to upgrade it and make us look a little bit more professional. So let us know if it's not working, so that we can either go back to what we were doing before, or so we could try something. Can you turn that light back on?
No, but I'm saying all these books behind us. They know you read them. They know I didn't read these books. Man, I gotta stand up straight. I'm intellectual now.
Quit playing with me.
I'm just saying.
Okay, so all this will go away pretty soon. But I do want y'all to see that, a couple of books that I do like to read. Derek Ramsey.
You did read them.
I read all these. I'm in this magazine. And I love this book right here too. So anyway, so we are here. Welcome to Hits and Heels. It is Christmas Day. We decided to still come on today anyway, because most of the Christmas day is over with. We've been sitting and watching football majority of the day after we've eaten and been merry and enjoyed the family and all that type of stuff. And it was they were blowouts.
But they were good games. The team that was supposed to win. I thought Pittsburgh would give Kansas City a little bit more of a game, but they had Russell, doing the running man the whole game. And people always go after the quarterback on there. You got to give him a chance.
Yeah, he was running for his life. They probably should have put Justin Fields in. I think Justin Fields would have did a better job of diverting the pressure that was coming from him. I'm just saying.
You can't.
I love me some Justin Fields.
Yeah, so. Could you been knowing him since he was that big?
I know.
There we go.
I know. Anyway, so let's I'm gonna go back. Let's go back. So welcome to Hits and Heels. My name is Coach Terri Bryant. This is my husband, Coach Cisco Bryant. We are both middle school coaches. He has coached high school baseball and high school football for probably 30 years. And about 6 seasons ago, he decided to step down and go to middle school. And when he did that, he made me his assistant head coach. And that's how I became a football coach. And from there, I went on and did a couple of seasons with the women's tackle football team in Louisville. And we started Hits and Heels just because we had some great conversations. And so, now we're here. We're about 100. I think this is episode 111 or 112, something like that. We're 2.5 years in, and we're excited, and we're looking forward to 2025. And I don't know. And I said I was going to make Coach Bryant my permanent co-host.
Wow.
Because we have such a good time when we're on, and you bring great insight and engagement when you do come on. And so, that's what I think that's where that's where Hits and Heels is gonna go.
Well, it'll be sometimes that you'll be Bobby Brown and you go solo.
Okay.
Good to go solo. Remember that song?
I remember that song.
Okay. And so that makes it pretty cool, because you do individual interviews, and I may come on and may not, but I still say all the time, this is her show. This is not my show. I'm happy and honored that you allowed me to do this. And I guess we'll go back to Pittsburgh.
Let's go back to Pittsburgh.
Well, Kansas City is
the number one seed overall.
Overall number one seed. They locked it up. And so that's going to be interesting if them and Buffalo meet, because Buffalo seems to be the team with Joshua Allen.
And that's the only loss that Kansas City has is to Buffalo, right?
Right. And Buffalo's lost 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's 2 more games remaining.
2 games left.
So whatever it is, they've locked it up. And so that's going to be interesting. The second game.
Oh, the Ravens and Houston. I thought that would be a better game as well, but I think the Ravens are hitting on all cylinders right now. Lamar looked like the MVP tonight.
Well, I mean,
what he did, 8 touchdowns.
Yeah,
he set a record.
I don't know. He should have broke Mike.
I think he broke the record for most touchdowns,
most rushing yards,
most rushing touchdowns, most rushing touchdowns for a quarterback. 8 of them.
Most rushing.
Mm-hmm.
No, most rushing yards, not touchdowns.
Most rushing yards.
Yeah, for a quarterback in NFL history. Okay. Because Michael Vick held that.
Gotcha.
Michael Vick held that. So.
Oh, I thought that was the one that Justin Fields broke.
No, but he might broke a.
Which one did
Justin broke? I think
the single season.
This is history.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So,
well, thank you for getting me together on that one.
No, we good. We good. No, we're we good.
Because okay. So for those that don't know, they're new here. We don't use a script. We just go live and we just wing it, depending on what we got, what we're feeling and what we're thinking about and what's going on. And I try to use a script sometimes if I do have a guest that's coming on. If there's anybody that does want to come on, and look at my man, I'm so glad he's on. If that wants to come on, but my favorite person,
it took Christmas,
is coming on, and it took Christmas Day. Amen. To get us on here. So let me introduce y'all to my main man. So for those of y'all that always come on, Mr. Alvin Brown is always one of my best supporters on and brings us some of the best engagement. And we finally got him on. We've been asking him since day one. What's up, Mr. Brown?
Oh, how you doing? Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas. So I guess if I can, if I may, what is the main topic you want to talk about? Because we can go back and forth, which we do quite often here on Hits and Hills. So what is something that's been on your mind, whatever, NFL, high school, transfer portal, individual, or whatever?
Well, I think that you guys being married couples, and I've been married to my wife for 46 years, that I want to talk a little bit about the Travis Hunter situation, where a lot of people have intervened, invested their precious time to engage this young man and his girlfriend, which I think has been a distraction from his Heisman Trophy win. Has been a distraction for what he have planned going into the NFL. And I think that, those particular things should not be discussed on social media. Have social media grab folks and just say things and make comments, and it's terrible. So I would like to engage you two guys with that, along with your viewing audience.
All right. Well, you want to go? You go ahead, man. You go.
I think people forget that these are children, and I just think that, and I love that there are some adult men that are feeling like he's being taken advantage of, that she's a gold digger, that she said some things in the beginning, and then and then it looks like from the outside in that it looks like she realized who she was, and then she decided to engage with him. And that might be the case, but I know he's been with this chick for 5 years now, and she's been riding or die with him this whole time, and he's gung ho over her. He didn't ask her to marry her. They're supposed to be getting married in May, and I think I know I'm in my second marriage, and I didn't do it the right, do things right the right way. I didn't make the right decision. And I think sometimes you just got to you got to let kids just make their own decisions at this point. And he either needs to learn the hard way, or there are some relationships that I've seen that I never thought would work. And they're like you. They've been married 40-some years.
My thing is this. It has nothing to do with not contradicting you. He wasn't a Heisman Trophy winner 5 years ago. So if you're out somewhere, he wasn't him. When you get in the highlight and you do something, you gotta, get an Oscar award. If she's unhappy about something, she's got to get an Oscar. she's got to wait. If she's unhappy with something he said or something he didn't do, you got to wait. And you got to do that in your house, because there's a big difference in him. Before, I heard of him a little bit when he was in high school, but his world is totally different now. And I truly believe the person on your right or your left, even with you, your spouse, male or female, you have to play a role. If you're unhappy with a national audience, you're giving them material to say something. And in closing on that statement is you have to understand that that's not Travis you met when he was a freshman in high school. That's not the same guy. This guy is big time. This guy's going to meet Denzel Washington. I mean,
Right.
That's my first opinion.
And I like that, Mr. Brown, because I'm pretty sure Coach Prime has spoke with her and spoke with him about the etiquette of what it's going to take because of living the limelight, because he's lived that limelight. He's had his whole life on a reality show, and put all his business out in the street like that. But at that age, it's so hard to get kids at that age to really understand adult situations and what it takes to be an adult situation, because they're at that age where they think they know what they know and they have no idea. But and you can give them all the information that they need and they can take it or leave it. And at this point, it looks like Travis is not accepting the information that people is giving him.
He may be listening to the information. He just ain't following it, doing it.
Yeah.
Because most people want him there. And then Mr. Brown, you can tie me in on this. Get done is this. I keep saying those are two separate things. I'm sorry, that has nothing to do with age. If Ty is in that situation and he's seeing someone, we're saying, okay, and it happened to him one time in middle school. I mean, high school. It did. The person he was seeing at that time got very frustrated with him. But that person did not, and she was young, did not put on a performance in front of people. She had her conversation with Ty after, and whatever Ty did, he fixed it so it wouldn't irritate her the second time. And that's where I'm at. I mean, I disagree with the age. The age doesn't matter. You know where you're going. You in New York City. You're not. I'm sorry. You ain't in Bangor, Maine.
I think that these kids are young and they have a whole bunch of pressure on them in the limelight that they're in. That they rub shoulders with celebrities. That these guys see, beautiful women. I mean, they have to, they almost have to put wear a cross to keep those cards off of them. I mean, it is what it is. I think that Coach Terri makes a great point that who better to be with Deion Sanders to give him advice about what to do professional, and to just give him some cautionary thoughts about his personal life, not to meddle and not to engage him from that perspective. But he's the one that can probably guide him and encourage him as his for 4 or 5 years.
Right. But with that said is, Mr. Brown, if you will, it wasn't Travis that said or did something. Even when that situation took place, he still kept a smile on his face. So I mean, she's got to be able to understand no matter what happened, because it wasn't Travis who blew up, who snapped back at her. He didn't do anything. He just looked at her, and he was like trying not to show any emotion, because he has been, it sounds like, through Coach Prime, been saying, don't do this, don't do that.
I think this is where I was watching a coach, his name is Derek Tatum, and he had a segment about athletes should date other athletes. And I think that it's a perfect example of that, because I think that when you're in a marriage and you're a coach, even though you're a coach, and if you have a wife that doesn't understand your schedule, doesn't understand the limelight, don't understand that, because they're not an athlete or they've never been in that situation, I think it just really makes the dynamic so difficult. And I think that's what makes our relationship just so just so fun, because like we're getting ready to start baseball season, and he's got games 5 days a week and practice 6, 7. He's gone literally 7 days a week somewhere, and he's gone. And because I'm a coach and because I'm a former athlete, I'm not bothered by how long he's gone. But in previous relationships, that has been a problem for him, because they weren't coaches and they weren't an athlete. And I think it's the same thing with a lot of these coaches. I've even told Ty, I totally recommend you being with another athlete, because they're a little bit more understanding of you being in the spotlight and your schedule, and the fact that you have to go work out and you can't go shopping, or a lot of the stuff that I've seen a lot of my male friends that have girlfriends or wives that don't like sports, some of the stuff that they kind of have to deal with because of the lack of understanding, because they have no idea what it's like to be an athlete. That's just mine.
Well, I think that's a great observation. To add to that, Layshoff's Hall of Famer John T. Shell and his wife Trina, they've been married 40 plus years. Yeah, we all great friends. His John and my wife, we all went to Henry Clay High School together. And the stories that he tells me about how important Trina was in making sure sons grew in baseball, that he really was on the road, the one that was training them and teaching them baseball. And that, she had to sort of be his backbone while he was on the road. And, John only on the, this time of the year, basically, because he was always, going from baseball stadiums, baseball. So they balance, the and balance the kids and etc. And that was very important, that they was complementary to each other. That allowed for him to have a successful NLB baseball career, along with being able to raise and groom his sons, which 3 of his sons, as you are
absolutely
went to UK, played on the baseball team over there, and was outstanding, which I don't think they get credit for what they done for Kentucky baseball. But that's a prime example of how you can be a celebrity in the major league professional sports, but you got to have a companion behind you that understands the travel, that has to trust you, so that you don't have vixens coming of you. So it's a lot that goes in the professional level of sports. Those two are just two that comes to mind. I know them personally.
That was a perfect example of them, because we loved hearing their story. And matter of fact, when I first met them, we met them at a Ty was playing baseball at UK at a tournament, and they were there. Or was we at a UK game? I can't remember, but they were there at the game, and we asked them about, if they could just mentor us, because they did things the way we wanted to see them do it, with a long-term relationship,
right,
and raising their kids to be outstanding.
But that goes back to what I said in the beginning. Okay, we don't know how their relationship was in the beginning. And that doesn't mean the young lady won't figure it out and want to, because she loves him, he loves her. Because a lot of times, and as I'm not backpedaling what I'm saying by no means, but a lot of times you learn as you go. And the funniest thing is when I had Ty, when he was born I was older, that was my first child. And Terri would say, "Oh, you can't give him that." And then I would say, "I'm learning as I go," because some situations I don't know how to act. I don't know what to do. And the young lady, I hope she does, because she makes him stronger and happy. No one else is making that young man happy. And that's what people, and the people that's butting in, like you said in the beginning, Mr. Brown, the people that's butting in doesn't understand this young lady motivates me to be the best coach I can be. And it's fun. I mean, it's fun. I mean, I know that I can be gone 2 or 3 hours. When I told her I was going to be home at 8, she's dressed, ready to go out to eat. And all of a sudden I come dragging in an hour and a half late because of a sporting event. And she just smiles like that. And, but I hurry up and get dressed because that smile may go away, so.
No, because there's been plenty of times where, like, if you're tired, I'll go pick you up something.
That is true.
And we'll bring it back to the house and we can just chill out. Because you've had to do that for me.
Yeah, because we were scheduled to have a dinner, and my point of the story is it's not about us. It's about the subject is Travis and this young lady. What is her name? Anyway, I'll forget her name, but no disrespect to her by no means. But the biggest thing to me is I hope she's willing to figure it out, because you've been married to your wife for blessings 40 of years, and some things you had to figure out, some things she had to figure out, but both of y'all were willing, and capitalize that word, to figure it out. And that means a lot.
Well, you make an excellent point. I think that what's the chief instigator to a lot of this is social media. The chief to interfering and interrupting and getting into people's lives, social media. Those things didn't exist in the 1970s when I was playing sports and talking to people, and you just didn't have people in your business. And when you become on this level and this stage with these young cats, everything about them is put out there, and they are able to enjoy the live things that particularly NIL gives them, and they're able to have gold chains and Maybach cars and all the things that go with that. And the celebrity follows with them, good or bad. They get praise from a whole bunch of people and criticism from others. And I could just imagine I remember when I was 18 years old, I didn't have those pressures. When I was 20, I didn't have those pressures. And young fellas that are unbelievable athletes in sports, they're under a whole bunch of scrutiny and people jump in their business. And it's unfair. And I think that, you have to be able to just close the doors off, hit the mute button and just, live your life and go on, because no one has pointed out the good things about Travis and his girl. I seen them a couple of years ago. They both love to fish. They both love to enjoy those things. So 4.0 student in school, he has a great personality. And those things have not really been, brought out about the kid.
Right.
And he's a two-way player, Coach Cisco, that we both know playing on offense and defense in football is a tough choice to do. And that right there is saying a whole bunch of unbelievable thing about this new age athlete named Travis Hunter.
Yeah, and closing up on him, but the thing about it is, people that's never did one side of the ball, playing two sides as well as he played it. I mean, and I'm not having a Coach Bryant moment, but I did it. I did it very well in high school. Did it very well. College is a little different. There's some players that ain't playing both ways can do that. That's a fact. But he did it and showed out. NFL, to me, depends on what team get him. What team does he what team does he end up going on to?
Coach Cisco, I want to ask you a question. Thinking about Ricky Henderson, the great baseball player for the Oakland A's that passed this week, that his prowess on the bases, what he done in baseball, that it probably was difficult to even brush him back, because that he was gonna steal the base. Can you speak a little bit about how important it is to be able to play at that level and to be able to steal bases 90 feet away and what he done on the diamond?
Well, the thing about baseball is you got to get a good jump. You have to read every little thing. He talked about, which I didn't know this either. He was talking to Banks when he was, of course, here on this earth, if you will. And he said, I watched the elbow. And coaching, I've never heard that. And I was with Coach Chandler, who's one of the gurus of all time. And everybody knows that. That's a fact. And Coach Chandler never mentioned it. The major league coaches he introduced me to never mentioned that. I've never heard a college coach, because I still go to clinics even this day. And he said, I watch the elbows, because if the elbow moves back, that means they're throwing that way. If that elbow stays straight. And I was like, wow. And so that's something that you got to have your ears open and listen. And Ricky did that very well. Ricky could hit very well. He set the record for the major league home runs, leadoff hitter. He was an all-purpose guy. Had a pretty good glove, above average glove. Got a couple of golden gloves. Arm was a little suspect sometimes. I think it all depends on, if it wasn't sore, if you will. But he's one of the best, and we lost a good one. He really is. And young people need to Google him and mimic him. He was unbelievable.
My girl Nancy Hawthorne made a comment about watching the pitcher's cadence. She's one of the few female officials, umpires, across the nation. So shout out to you, Nato. Go ahead, Coach. I call you Coach too, Mr. Brown.
Just, going back to talk about the NIL, we've seen several UK players taking gold to other rosters. Y'all's kid that y'all raised through football and sports, Dane Key. Yeah, your nephew. Dane went to Nebraska. When Dane played against Florida, and he made that unbelievable catch.
Yes.
I just can't believe that 3 years have went by, 2 or 3 years have went by, because I'm looking at that grandson, and he played with Dane, played in Pee Wee football, and for him to be already, it just begs the question: what the time at to see this young man go to new horizons? Maybe he likes his quarterback coach. I mean, wide receiver coach. I don't know, but the NIL is gonna be a blessing for some, and maybe not good for others. So how do you think it will affect the roster, Coach Cisco Bryant? Your son played UK. You rub shoulders with people in that university football. How will it affect our roster next year?
Well, the thing is name, because the kids that the University of Kentucky is bringing in, they can play. If they wouldn't recruit them to come in the SEC. But the difference is the SEC is different. I thought Texas did a very good job with that this year, playing the SEC schedule, but I want to see if they're consistent. Oklahoma found out the SEC is each week is hard. Kentucky found out this year that the players don't play if they're the key. NIL, a lot of times people don't realize it has a lot. It does. Gosh, that's hard. That's sort of like a great question, because it does have a lot to do with money, because these kids are making, life-changing money. This changes their family's life. You putting $500,000, $300,000, $1 million in your account. That sounds cute when you're playing Monopoly, but this is real money going into an account, invested correctly. So no matter what your future is, you've already way more in front than I was when I came in college, excuse me. So him going to Nebraska surprised me. It really did. If he went to an SEC school that wanted him, because everybody wanted him, because he's the key.
I definitely thought that he would go to Georgia because his girlfriend is a softball player at Georgia. So that was absolutely That's why when the Georgia one came up, when he was on a visit, everybody just assumed he was already had committed there.
I did.
But yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a surprise.
Yeah, I guess it's because it shows you a little bit, Mr. Brown, it shows you a little bit how, because Coach Bryant here, she said it to me, how a lot of my kids that I coach play for me.
Right.
Okay. And they're not just playing the game. When you coach, does your kids play for you, or they're playing it because that's what they just want to do? There's a difference. And a lot of my kids that I coach, they're grown men now, comes up to me, makes me feel humble, very humble, and very appreciated. And that just told me that whatever that coach did, called not just D Key, because if you ever met his dad and his mom, they don't play about their babies.
They don't play.
So,
Dante and I, we know.
Yeah, they don't play about their babies. So that automatically told me whatever that coach did and said to their son was an impact.
Yeah.
Because he's not talking about leaving during the season. It was like teaching him the game and showing him what he needs to do. Even if he catches a pass, he's telling him, you need to do this. This is what you need to do. And that's coaching to me. That is coaching. Doesn't matter if you complete the pass or if you field the ball, as in baseball, you did this wrong. You still got to work on this fundamental. So whatever it was, I thought Mr. Brown was a major impact on him going, and that was behind closed doors. That was meaning practice, meaning individual workouts.
Mm-hmm. When you was coming, when you and Jack Gibbs and every the 80s, absolutely. Jack, James Lee, and John T-Bone Shelby, we went to Dunbar Junior High back in the day, and they graduated. I graduated in '76. Jack and James graduated in '74, so they 2 years older than I am. But back then, the language was letter intent. When you heard somebody come in and they would sign a letter intent, it sort of bound them to the university. And then they were a student, meaning that they had to have grades, and the transcripts had to back up their grades. Then the athlete was seemingly subjected to one being a student. So is it safe to say that the 7,000 kids that went through the transfer portal have the grades to be able to satisfy the administrators on campus? Because that's a large looming thought that surely all of these kids can have the grades to prove that they should be eligible to play based on their grades. I just don't believe that exists based on the chronology of how important that was back in the day when you guys played, Coach Bryant and Jack Givens and guys like that.
I know when we went on Ty's official visit, if Ty was taking 4 classes, Ty could have 4 different tutors for each class. It was for that specific class. And whatever time that he needed in order to be able to satisfy the work that needed to be done, if he needed help in that particular class, it was available to them. So one of the things that I think was a concern of mine, based off of what you said, is the kids don't care about getting a degree anymore because they can always come back and get their degree. So they're not worried about whether or not any credits are transferring or anything like that. They're just going and making their money, or going back to an opportunity that they think is a better opportunity for them. But I do think that the grades does play a big part, because they know if they're in a position where they're not happy and they want to leave, their grades is going to have to play a part in that. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to get accepted, because there still has to be some type of an acceptance. I mean, I know you just can't go to Vandy or I don't know if they're being lenient because they're football players with any of their criteria, and I don't think so. right? So you still have to meet the criteria of whatever that minimum of that school is, and you do have to have the grades. Well, and I think that's why maybe sometimes you don't see kids come out of the portal because they don't have the grades to go.
Because and Coach Bryant, that's a valid point. You're not going to put yourself out there if you don't have the grades. And the difference is now, when and Coach Bryant, she was talking about tutoring. People have a different mindset what tutoring is. Tutoring doesn't mean the person does their work. Okay, tutoring, if you get stuck, that's like when Ty was younger, he's in high school and he sat downstairs and he's studying. I'm his tutor. You his tutor. His mom is his tutor. And we're sitting there and he has a question. And we may be able to find that answer quicker, but we're not giving him that answer. These are these kids now. That's the reason why so many kids is transferring, going what Ms. Coach Bryant said, is because they do have the grades. Because leverage is you got to have the grades. You don't have no leverage if you don't have no grades.
I mean, even
because obviously you can run and jump. Okay, but what gives you the same thing we talk about for our middle school kids, I used to say it all the time, Mr. Brown, I can get a gorilla to run and jump. I can't get them to read and write.
Right.
So they can't be on my team. No disrespect, I'm not calling no kid a gorilla, but my point is people got to understand that you have to be able to read and write. People are dumbfounded when I tell them Ty's GPA. Because they just say he's just that athlete that's running and jumping and jumping. No, he sacrificed his life. So if Ty decided he's leaving the university, he's not leaving UK, not leaving, he's there. If he decided he was going to leave back then, he's got leverage. Because
he's got a 4.0.
He's got that GPA and he can play the game. So now it's sort of tweaking over to the athlete saying, I'm not just here for you. You can leave as a coach anytime you want to, but I'm stuck here and I'm going to get punished if I leave. And college coaches get buyouts, so they're not hurting when they leave.
But so one of the things that even in the transfer portal, the coaches are asking about the GPA.
Yes.
Do you think that in the women's game, and women's sports collegiately, women are not getting the fruitage benefits as men are in the same sport? Of course, they don't play football. They do play basketball. Great female athletes throughout the country, all the way up to USC, Juju Watkins, all the way down to the players that Don Staley has on her team. And they have been able to get and enjoy some of the riches that come from NIL. But do you think that have you been finding that through your circles of people you've talked to that they don't get the same amount of money or good money based on the fact that they're athletes too?
I think the top 1% are in there. Flajay Johnson out of LSU just purchased 20 acres of land in Georgia. You just mentioned Juju Watkins. Juju has major endorsements, and so she was able to the new women's league that's coming in. She was able to actually invest in that, and that I'm pretty sure that wasn't a small little penny. That had to be a couple of mil in order to be able to invest in that, or definitely a couple $100,000 in order to invest in that. So the top 1%, I think, is getting that. But I think it's still the same as far as everybody else. I mean, it's never going to be equal. It's like being black and white. If we talk black and white, it's never going to be equal. But then when you throw in women, we'll never be equal to what the men are getting. Now, I think the women are a little bit more marketable because of the product. So like an Angel Reese, for instance, she's beautiful. So, now you can, men can't do the makeup and the lashes and the hair and the different clothing lines and stuff like that. I think a lot of women have more opportunity because the buying, the more women spend more money than men do, right? And so I just think that that gives them more opportunity. But the girls are also more on social media as far as doing a better job of marketing themselves. Like Ty Bryant don't have nothing on his social media, and if Ty would learn how to just, even if he just marketed a picture once a day in the life of Ty Bryant, he goes and works out every morning. Just some of the stuff that he does, he would be able to gain some of those probably opportunities. But I think, that's the only thing that sets the girls apart. The girls are just a little bit more out there with theirs, and they're just more marketable when they have that opportunity. But I don't think it'll never be even.
Okay, but you said something, Ms. Coach Bryant, which is not true. When you say it's not true, babe.
What's not true?
It's not true, partner. Okay, when you said that the women are spending, no. The reason why the women spend way more money than men do. Time out. A woman will buy for a woman. A man will buy for a woman. Okay. Men buy for their woman.
But there's 10 times more women, babe.
This is what I'm getting at.
And so more women are going to spend more because there's more women than men.
Wait a second. We're about to go down right now. Right. We have to go there. Okay. My point of it is NFL, there's only 2% makes all the money on a team. 2% of all the players, they make all the money. Certain universities make all the money. It's not a gender thing. It's what people like. Mm-hmm. Whatever markets the world. Okay, how in the world does Big K go out of business? We all grew up with Big K because people started liking Walmart. Think about it. People started, how does Big K go out of, how does Robot and Sears go out of business at our age? How, it was billions of them everywhere. And then here's what happened. The same thing in the marketing of what people like. Okay. Family Dollar comes in. And what's the other one? What's the other one?
Dollar Tree.
Dollar Tree comes in. Okay. They market. They're the same people. I don't know if y'all know that. They're the exact same people. But here's what happened. What did Dollar General do? They was going out of business. They said, whoa. Some marketing guy goes, why don't we quit putting Dollar General inside the city and put them on the outskirts? When you driving, don't you see a Dollar General? Where the world that come from? Okay, it's about marketing. What you want? It's about marketing. Did you hear what she said? See if Mr.
Isn't that what I just said?
No, I'm saying, but it's not about, because men will give money to their significant other.
But there are more single women.
But wait a second.
Than there are married men.
I'm not saying that. Dating, you spend more money when you date than you do married.
But there are still more single
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Than there are married or partner. Dating
Get your
men.
Partner. Get your partner. Go on now.
It's 10 to 1.
Let me make sure.
It's 10 women to every one male.
Hold on. Let me make sure. Okay, I don't see his wife behind him, so he can be. Go ahead. Get her.
I think both make good points. Women decide good housekeeping would always take in survey with women when they determined what type of vacuum cleaner was best. Was a Hoover or if it was a General Electric.
That's why they were homebodies. They're not home. They work now.
Right. Okay. I mean,
they were vacuum
anymore. They were housewives, but their opinion generated millions of sales inside of Kmart and inside of robots. Robot. The ones that was censored and took surveys, and they had most of them had good housekeeping books and what other avenues that they was able to get attention that they were on that gave the the opinions of what was good and what was bad. And so similarly, even in this Christmas shopping age, that women get more gifts from their grandkids than men. I probably got my grandkids probably get the old sweater.
Hold on. I have to cut you off, Mr. Brown. I cut you off because she's over here giggling and going, yeah. Okay, hold on. Okay, that is not what Coach is saying. I'm saying, okay, if the woman is a housewife, her job is hard. My mom did it. It was hard. But he goes out and he gets a paycheck. He hands it to her. Mm-hmm. Okay, she can have an opinion all she wants. They don't care about her opinion. They want the cash. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying it's the same difference. If I'm making the money, okay, yes, she's going to have a bigger input, but who am I get? The original money came under Coach Bryant. If he gives my wife, Terri Bryant, the paycheck, and then she makes the decision that Hoover is the best vacuum cleaner, that makes sense. But in the beginning, she can't make any opinion or buy any vacuum cleaner unless I hand her the money. That's all I'm saying. Now women, they work for themselves and they're going to have the best opinion because every man is going to give his wife or his girlfriend money to go buy those products. And then if they don't have a man, they got their own money and they're going to buy the products. Of course, that's going to be that way. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying men versus women. I'm not saying that at all. I'm saying the overall objective is that, and the subject of the college getting theirs is it's about entertainment. If no offense, but I got to make my point. If Dayton is playing Western ladies basketball, how many people are going to watch that game that don't live in Ohio and Kentucky? Only Ohio and Kentucky. That's it. If Connecticut is playing Notre Dame, everybody's going to watch. Because those individual 1% is entertaining. And that's the world we live in. We live in a microwave world. We live in an entertainment world. It even goes back to Travis and his girlfriend. We live in a world of social media that you got to watch what you say, how you say it, and how you present yourself. Where did I stand when Ty Bryant played at Frederick Douglass?
In the end zone.
In the end zone. And
because we had to be away from the people in the stands so that I didn't hit nobody in the mouth.
Well, that was one of the reasons. That's the truth. That was one. Woo, that's the one reason. But the second reason, no, hold on, Mr. Brown. The fourth reason, because the first three was that, but the fourth reason it's because I'm sitting there. I want to enjoy the game. I don't want people's opinion, and I want to just enjoy. That's the world we live in. That's the world. And if that making sense, and it's not taking away anything you're saying, but maybe I worded it wrong. This is not male versus women. This is entertainment. If you get two women boxers that can box, every man in America will watch it because they're good. If you get Ali and what's the other black lady that's from Louisiana? Carissa. If they both was in prime in boxing, tell me where you gonna be at on Friday night, Mr. Brown? We're gonna say,
right.
We're gonna watch it.
Yeah, I think I know what happened. What happened with women in sports is misogyny still exists. That they're still usurped to the opinion of men. Ty Moe, I guess an ESPN guy, came out and said that women shouldn't be calling football games or giving analytical views on football games. Well, he doesn't know the history of football. That it goes back to the days of Phyllis George Brown, and I forget. Oh God, Jane Kennedy, when they was on CBS in the broadcast booth, that they were able to talk football. They were able to talk football. They was able to talk football every day. And then Leslie Vischer also was a NFL reporter that was able to do interviews and was able to write journals and talk NFL
No,
football. So I
no,
think
Mr.
that
Bell, she's drooling. She's ready. She's ready to say something toward me. She's ready to say something.
No, I love the history that you're giving. I have a book here called Women in Football, and it mentions a lot of them as far as just the beginning of football and the history of it that most people have no idea about. Thank you.
Right. Yeah, well,
the difference is there was a lady that was on, and I said her name to you. She does the game the right way. I don't care if you're male or female. Okay, my wife says all the time, and she goes, baby, 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 how come he didn't make that tackle? And I go, babe, he didn't make the tackle because of this. And she goes, oh. Because if you ain't played and never been in that situation, it's sort of like Anthony White, the former University of Kentucky football player who does his own show. Anthony and I works in our building, works with us at the school I'm at. And he says, DBs have to make life decisions.
Business decisions.
Very business decisions. Do you really want to tackle Henry full speed? Because you may get him down, but you're going to be in that tent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And so that's, my thing, same thing about women announcers. They do a great job, but don't speak on something that you don't know. And I say that with male. I do that as a male, do I not? It's a female sport, and I go, babe,
but you've never played a female sport,
right? So I don't have. I can't understand
playing like women's basketball is totally different than playing men's basketball.
Playing volleyball, when the volleyball game's on, did I ask you
what was going on? Yes,
because I didn't understand it because I never been a female playing female volleyball. Now I can announce it if I learn it as a man, but I'm not going to put myself in their position because I've never been that position. That's what I'm saying. There are certain times you can't say he should have did this. Why didn't he should have did this? Wait a second. You need to turn and ask one of your colleagues why he did this. Guarding Michael Jordan, why didn't you just step over? There's a reason. Because Micah tap on you and dunk on you. Mm-hmm. So you can't do that. So you got to have somebody that guarded Michael Jordan what you do.
But when you look at let's take football. They're from Pee Wee all the way up, starting at Pee Wee. They're starting from Pee Wee. That the mother is the one that signed their kids up for football, though, right?
Yes.
And it's a woman that decide that they don't want their kid to play because they don't want them to get hurt.
You can be married. You cannot be married and get that. Because I wouldn't have started playing if it wasn't for my stepdad. My dad died when I was 2, passed away when I was 2, my biological dad. So my dad, if he didn't marry my mom, I don't know if I would have played football. It was him who convinced her to let me play football.
How nice. Yeah. So women make most mothers make a decision on their kids if they're gonna play, and even when they on I used to always see them on Monday Night Football that they would always give a shout out to their mother, never their father. They would wave, how you doing? And that
it still takes place today, man. It still takes place today.
There's a couple of dads that are finally starting to get their props.
No, my son gives me my props.
Yes,
he gives me my props.
But it's still mostly the moms. I'm not even gonna lie.
Because there's nothing like moms. There's nothing like them. I mean, I'm sorry. My mom passed away a few years ago, a little bit over a few years ago, and I miss her like crazy. I miss everything about her like crazy. So I can appreciate that.
I can imagine. I have one other thought, Coach Cisco. My brother's nickname is Poncho.
Uh-huh.
I thought that your nickname was Cisco. I know that your name. So when people in our circle, from and the Sean Wood, and all that. When they say Cisco, I know exactly who they're talking about. But I always thought that was your nickname because my brother's nickname is Pancho. So
Yeah.
and I thought that was your name, which is unique. It's very popular in the city. So when I hear Cisco, I'm talking about you.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a my mom given name for because of family members, and it's it's a unique name, but
Yeah.
I don't hear it very much here in Lexington. I either hear Coach Bryant, Coach B, Coach B, and So with that said, I appreciate that love, and I get a lot of love and from people here in Lexington. I love it. I love it.
You have to be.
Yeah. I want to shout out my auntie, Mary Preston, who's on. Thank you, auntie, for always being on. I want to shout out Priscilla. Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to all.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to everyone. My girl Autumn, our girl Autumn, she calls you Pops. She played for me.
We ain't seen her in a while.
She was on our team that drove all the way from Charlotte, North Carolina to come play with us in here in Louisville. And kisses back to you, baby. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Brown, who is your favorite team? NFL.
Miami Dolphins.
Oh.
Since 1972.
The Miami Dolphins. Okay.
We've had the greatest team ever to play in the NFL.
Absolutely.
Okay, I got a story for you.
Mm-hmm.
It is who would have been the only running back that went over 1,000 yards when Dan Marino was the quarterback. There was only one running back that came close, and Coach Schuler made sure he did not get the 1,000 yards. Who was the running back?
Might have been Mark Higgs.
It was Mark Higgs, my ex-roommate at UK. And basically what happened was they was playing the two worst defenses in the NFL the last two games of the season. He needed 156 yards. And the last two games, Schuler decided not to give him the ball unless it was inside the 15 to make sure because he would have got a $5 million or something, $2 million, $3 million extra. Because Higgy, that's my dog though, Higgy was not a practice guy. I'm gonna tell you that right now. And Schuler was old school. Schuler was old school coming from the Giants. He was old school. And Higgy was, even at UK, he just do his thing, but got in the game, he spin. Higgy was one of the best running backs in Kentucky history. And people don't realize that Mark Higgs also had an ACC tear.
ACL tear?
ACL tear. I couldn't think of the initials. ACL tear in his knee. He hurt it in practice. And it was his freshman year or his sophomore year. And Higgy was a heck of a running back. His brother was unbelievable, at Owensboro, Kentucky.
Kenny Higgs might have been his brother, his older brother might be one of the greatest high school basketball players to play. Seen him play in the state tournament a couple of times. And I asked Rex Chapman, we talked one, I asked him who was the most revered basketball player in that region. He Kenny Higgs, and he yielded to Kenny Higgs. He said Kenny Higgs was the greatest high school basketball player in that region.
Right. And everybody knows the book came out. Rex talked about it because Rex dated their sister.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And I knew that like through and through. I was around it. And I didn't realize how much stuff, little stuff to change that
Rex went through.
Wow. Whew.
I didn't.
He went through some stuff based on that. So we won't get on that drama moment. We keep it light here and smiles. But Rex, shout out to Rex Chapman. He went through a lot that a lot of people I didn't know. And I was around Rex and his sister as well. I was around them. And I didn't know that he went through that. So that's a strong man. That's why he came out on the other end the way he's prospered outside of the NBA. So, because he went through some stuff, but we go through stuff. That's why we do what we do.
It makes sense.
So you brought up T-Bone Shelby earlier and the Lexington African American Sports Hall of Fame, in which we're a part of the board. After the new year, we should be looking shortly to start narrowing down who we're going to nominate for 2025. Who is the absolute best overall athlete that has come out of Lexington for you, in your eyes, in your opinion?
Ooh, babe, that's tough. Now, people know where you live.
Number one,
people know where you live, Brian. Watch yourself.
Well, that's a good question, but I have to look at athletes. I have to say
Steve Chandler.
Steve Chandler was a 3-player athlete. He football, baseball, and
first team all three.
Yeah, and lettered in all three. And that's unique because I don't know if anybody else is able to be tagged a three sport athlete.
American.
And he excelled in all levels.
And let me throw this in. He in 4 levels. He could read and write. He graduated from Vandy.
Yeah, yeah, he went to Vandy.
He could read and write.
How many state championships did he win at Lafayette?
He won 2 in baseball, 1 as an assistant, 1 as a head coach.
Right. And I mean, you talk to him, you rub shoulders with him, you talk about what he's taught you in baseball. I mean,
11 years he taught me baseball.
I mean, I played and I was around Bo Shelby, a great athlete, tremendous baseball, long and Jack Givens and James Lee. It was high players at Dunbar. James Lee was a brute then. James Lee probably was more physical as a ninth grader than he was. He's kept the same body, got taller as he went to 12. Jack Givens always silky smooth, could hit a mid-range jump shot. He shot the same way in junior high as he did throughout his high school and his collegiate career at the University of Kentucky. So when you look at all of the players and all of the guys that I grew up and I saw, that you cannot ignore the fact that Steve Chandler is the only one I know of that lettered in sports. And that's, you think about Travis. Steve went from, probably had maybe 2 or 3 weeks between going from football to basketball back to baseball. So
you think have that long?
I don't know.
Those seasons overlap depending on how far you go into your postseason.
Yes.
Right. That means so it took him to be an on horse just to be able to go from one sport to another. I don't know what time was in between the sports, but certainly it had to be exhausting to put him to stay fit.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I think we talked about one time when I said, what is my 3 amazing persons that I idoled? And then I said, Coach Chandler. Mm-hmm. And I say this, and it's not a hallmark moment, it's a fact. When I'm out in Fayette County, or I'm in Georgetown, or I'm in Richmond, I'm in Louisville, Bowling Green, or any surrounding area doing baseball, I ain't hearing you, because I got taught by the best. Mm-hmm. And nobody's going to tell me that they know more baseball than him. I don't care how much you're around it. He got taught by the best. You can't be a 10-year scout for the New York Yankees when they winning rings, and he's the one that's scouting them to get them on the Yankees roster. And so he knows the game. And so with that said is, and I guess the best word I can say is I swear by him. Right. I really do. He's a great, oh my God, he is, there's no question if he's at the pearly gates, he's getting in. He's getting in. He is unbelievable person.
But for those accolades, you have to, tell your coach to your right, what a great question. because I never even thought about it until I thought about it. But that's an unbelievable question when you think about all that came out. I mean, I know of those that's already in the off the great.
I mean, that's the reason why we put him in the first. He was one of our first ones in the Hall of Fame was because of that. Yes.
So yeah, that was a great question. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that I commend you for answering, because that's a tough question based on and sort of like we used to sit behind each other. I used to get on his nerves. We'd go on trips and I would ask him 20,000 questions, and Coach Chandler would look at me very quietly, go, Coach, I'm kind of tired now. I mean, stop answering me questions. And I used to write everything down that he asked. But it's sort of like people don't understand when you do a comparison of different decades and different players, your comparison is because you were blessed to live long enough to see these guys.
Mm-hmm.
And yourself, when Ms. Coach Bryant, when Terri asked you this question, the first thing I said was, "Ooh, that's a tough question."
Yeah.
But when you didn't hesitate, I think it was 1,001.5 count. You said Steve Chandler, and it makes logical sense. It's sort of like the gentleman that invented the little cardboard box that goes in front of your car.
Yeah.
That keeps the sun out of you. I mean, we've been burning our hands for years on the steering wheel. And then all of a sudden, a gentleman, his grandfather burns his hand. He tears off a cardboard box, sticks it on there. That's how simple that question and answer was. You don't think about it until it's done.
Well, you think about it when you look at players that came about, players you've seen at the big court down in Bluegrass Aspendale, and the guys played out in the Charlotte court. The bottom out in South End. And those guys.
Know about the bottom. Brown, she don't know about the bottom. She wasn't here yet. She don't know about the bottom.
The bottom was something else. I mean, quiet as kept. Pet Rally was a regular visitor down at the bottom.
The bottom was it.
Yeah, it was it. Yeah, but that's a great question on the great Steve Chandler.
Yeah.
Okay, what about coaches?
Oh, you can't ignore what ST Roach did during the era of when you had to deal with difficult times due to the color of your skin. That played in games where referees might have been unfair, but he persevered. He persevered and was able to groom young men into becoming great. So if he if he was able to play in and get played and refereed fairly, he might have several state championships. But it was extremely difficult, due to racial despise, for him to be able to enjoy being able to compete against mostly all white teams. But certainly Bryant Dunbar, the same school I went to, I closed in I think in 1972 or 73. That ST Roach is the one that about what it is. And when I went over, I was in the 7th grade, and all the trophies and hardware within these glass was just unbelievable. What Coach Roach and made all of those guys great men to go on to be able to work at the water company where they wasn't hard African Americans. He taught them etiquette of how to be a person, so they was able to and enjoy jobs that those companies did not hire, but because they taught by him, they were able to articulate why they needed the job and was able to fill out applications. So he done more off the court for those men just as much as he done. So I say ST Roach.
Well, very good, because the thing about coaching and everything I've heard about that man it's been amazing. And this is from people that didn't play the sport.
He was inducted into our inaugural as well because of that.
And didn't play the sport, meaning they were the parents of their kids playing the sport. or they were the sister or the brother of the kid, and they're older now, of course. But what I've heard about him, and when I got into Lexington, he was no longer. I don't know if he was here or he was just, older that he didn't come out. But with that said, that's a very good analogy of him. I want to move the subject a little bit.
Okay, because I got some more questions. Go ahead.
No, this is your show.
I know, but go ahead.
Your show. Your show. Go ahead.
Okay, so what needs to change in athletics for Lexington?
Wow. When you say that, are you talking about from juveniles that play pee-wee football up to high school? When you say change, give me expound on that a little bit.
Okay, so if we look at Lexington and how we compete outside Lexington, why did it take 40 years for us to get a national championship in Lexington? Besides the fact that I've learned of what you just said, we're still dealing with maybe some racial disparity when we play certain teams. But I think sometimes let's look at our top 10 on our skill set of maybe baseball or football or basketball. But then when we compare our top 10 and then now we go put them in the top 300 or the top, across the nation, we're not where we need to be competitively across the nation. So we very seldom do we get the Jaspers or the Ty Bryants or that can come up out of Lexington or out of Kentucky, period, to be good enough to compete at the highest level. What are we missing here as far as the development in our sports programs that you feel that we can do or somebody needs to do in order to get the development of our kids better so that we can compete nationally? Is that too much?
Well, it's not too much. I think that these kids now are better today than they were maybe 4 or 5 years ago, because they go to AAU camp and they practice on hitting the logo speed. They can cross over between their legs. I think that John Calipari was the one that got in other states that was done and tagged one and done kid. I think that Mark Pope, this is on the basketball level. I think Coach Pope is trying to get kids local that's good enough to play as long as they're taught other principles of the game. So I think that he will be successful in doing that. On the football side, I just think that the kids that play football are not 5 stars or deemed to be 5 stars, that they are 4 stars and 3 stars. And for whatever reason, that particular star system takes away from a kid coming in and excelling. And I think that the star system does not say what's inside of a kid's heart, that he's going to go out and he's going to compete like a 5-star. He has something to prove. So looking at it from I think our high schools are good kids now. Look at the kids down coach on the Owens kid, Owens.
From Bryant.
Station. He's balling.
And the Boone kid, well.
Boone kid, Woodford County, yes.
I think that those kids are going to help out tremendously along with Jasper Johnson, because these kids are new age kids. They do know how to play the sports. I think another thing, that a chief instigator that we don't get from those guys that left John Calipari that became zillionaires, that they have not reinvested in the community as much as I thought they should have. I think Julius Randle took and built a basketball court here out in East End down at Charles Young Center. I think that if those guys was to come up with some funding to get better facilities and be able to get kids engaged, that money just doesn't have to be used basketball, but they can use it in football as well. As partners of the University of Kentucky, they shine was coming to the University of Kentucky. So I think if they put back that the chief instigator, you got to have it ready to move forward. But to determine what's in a kid's heart, I don't think you can do that using a star system.
Well, my thing is based on what you just said, and I've said this before, with Calipari of his one and done and his guys, with all due respect, Mr. Brown, why would they invest in Lexington? They don't own any properties. They don't buy a house here. They're only here for basically 6 or 7 months. So they don't even know Lexington. They know that area of Lexington, meaning the Rupp Arena area on campus. I think with Coach Pope, what's going to end up happening is you're going to start seeing that because he's got guys that's going to invest in businesses and they're going to own businesses in Lexington because they're not the superstar that's going off to the NBA. And that was one of my biggest pet peeves in the last 5 to 6 years is, okay, I can't invest in New York, even though I live there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't do nothing there. So when I think of giving money, I'm not giving money to a school in New York because I wasn't there. Our family, a lot of our family lives in Indianapolis. I'm not going to invest any money in Indianapolis, even though I've been there a big 1,000 times.
Mm-hmm.
What I'm getting at is you have to invest in something to invest in something. You have to feel part of something to take your hard-earned money and give it to something. When Julia Randles did that, was a great thing. Why did he do that? Who did he marry? He married a Kentucky girl.
Mm-hmm.
His wife is a Kentucky girl. Now, not a Lexington, she's not a Lexington girl. But where is he at majority of the time? He's back in Kentucky. When she comes home for the holidays and they're not playing basketball and they're on the off season, he comes to Kentucky. You name a player that ain't from Louisville, that played under Calipari, ain't from Lexington, that played under Calipari, that hangs out in Lexington.
But let me ask you this, Coach. You make a great point.
Do you know any player that's making the big money that comes back to Lexington, hangs out? That's what I'm getting at. Those players that he had, Calipari had, they love Kentucky because when people say, who are you for when Kentucky plays Arkansas? Arkansas. Some of them said they're for Arkansas.
Right.
And people got mad at them. No, because they're not Kentucky.
They're loyal to Coach Cal.
They're loyal to Coach Cal. If you stay 2 to 3 years, you get to know West End, East End, Charlotte Court. You get to know Pace Creek area, Hamburg area. You get to know Polo Club area. You get to know Madison Station area. You get to know these areas because you're spending your hard-earned money in these areas. That's what Coach Bryant is saying. So that's what's so hard about that bringing them back here, because I think Coach Pope's kids will be here. They will be. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Please.
But don't you think that over a 15-year period of time, from John Wall all the way up to Coach Cal's last year, from 2010 to 2024, that he could have maybe instilled and encouraged those guys to even give back to the community? I mean, all the time.
Only thing he cared about is me, myself, and I. Everything was about him. Did you ever go to a UK basketball game when Coach Cal was head coach?
No, I did not.
Okay. If you went in the Rupp Arena, and everybody that's ever been, it's a fact, all you heard was Coach Cal screaming and hollering. It's sort of like, I know I can coach, but I don't take away from my kids. It's all about them. If you went to a Rupp Arena, all you heard was him. It was him. I'm not joking. It was amazing. How many times did you see me go to a basketball game?
Never.
And after his 2 or 3 years, I was like, I'm never going to a game. I don't want to go. You can give me seats right behind their seats. I ain't going because all I'm going to hear is him. And so he didn't do that because he didn't care, to my opinion, about Lexington and the University of Kentucky. He didn't care about
it. That's a great point. The broader thought is you two coaches make storage in y'all's life to coach young kids. And I on your show give big shout outs to Coach Pennington for giving you helmets.
yes.
And so what is the state of how you get kids to you have to be able to invest in kids in a way they can prosper. And I mean, you got new schools coming up, you got new districts that's going to take place. And somewhere you got to have money to be able to get equipment to these guys and get the resources to be able to make things better. That if Chad Pennington could come up with helmets, ain't it somebody else that could do the same thing? I mean, come on.
Let me tell you something. One of the things that I think a lot of people don't know is the disparity in, and especially at middle school at our level. No shade to Hayes, but Hayes Middle School football they're the only middle school I think that has a booster club for middle school, and they raise $25,000 every year. We're lucky to get 2.
We'll get a little bit more than that. We're lucky to get 2. The first 2 years we didn't. And we got people that wants to help. And I go out and I'm trying to get this. And I said that because my passion, going back to your question, my passion is Crawford football. And I said that to many people. When I leave, we leave, if she doesn't take over, when I leave Crawford football, I'm going to leave it a lot better than when we found it. Meaning the field, uniforms, knee pads, shoulder pads, helmets, thigh pads, girdles. And that's what football is. It ain't basketball. Where you got basketballs, you roll it out and you order some basketballs, and you got uniforms that don't get touched. Football uniforms get ripped. Pants get torn. I mean, things happen. Helmet unbuckle, and people that never has coached football always got an opinion on how a coach should be doing football.
And then they don't. and I'm just gonna say this because I'm a coach's wife and I'm his wife, but he just had 2 knee surgeries in the last two years, and he had bone-on-bone surgery, bone-on-bone knees on his knees. And I have videos of him limping because he had to paint the whole field
and mow it,
and he mowed it with a push mower one time, the field because Fayette County does not come and mow it on a regular basis, and they don't help to they don't paint our field, they don't do any of that. We have to do all of that on our own.
When I came home, because I didn't want my kids, my young males at Crawford Middle School football playing with grass.
Up to that, almost to
it was that bad. It was over their ankles. So I said, I got to mow this field. So I'm out there, and guess what? It wasn't on Facebook.
Yeah,
I just did it because that's my passion for these kids. And so the answer, go back to your question, a coach has to want to tell the people to give back. Because I know for a fact, if I coach college and my players are moving on and they love me and they supposedly love me,
I'm going to ask them to give back.
Please give me $500,000. You ain't got to give me $1 million. If all the players that played at UK that under Coach Calipari just give that's in the NBA,
gave $1 million.
This $500,000. And how much would that help the program in high school and middle school?
Oh my God!
It would help it tremendously. But that's not done. And I go back to Coach Pope. Based on him staying here for 3. No, he transferred in from Washington. I think he stayed for 2. But he got, because Pitino was about the community. And people can say what they want to. That man really was. He really was out, and he was about the community. And that's the reason why when he came back, how many people showed him mad love, not in Rupp Arena, but as he's walking down the street. This average Joes that can't get into Rupp Arena. That's when you find out your worth. It's when the average Joe, not the ones that buy season tickets, because they've invested. The ones that says, oh, I think I'm going to go home, Mr. Brown, and I'm going to turn on TV and watch UK play. Because they don't have to turn on their TV to watch them play. But they've invested in their own way. So I just think to answer your question, I hope I have, is if I don't feel like Coach Cal wanted to, and I said that when he was here, and am I right?
I just feel like if he had the relationship that he portrays that he has with Big Ed, he should have been able to get whatever he wanted out of them.
And that's,
I mean,
and you got
Anthony
Drake
Davis
can't give $1 million.
Yeah, Anthony Davis alone. Let's just use one person. Anthony Davis's first contract was $144 million, and then his second one was $200 million. And you couldn't give $1 million.
I mean,
$400 million, and you couldn't give $1 million back.
He's not thinking Kentucky.
Yeah,
he's not. He will never come. He will not be back here.
His players boast over close to $1 billion NBA contracts.
Yeah,
but what I'm getting at is
$1 billion. So if you gave if your players have made over $10 billion in the NBA, they couldn't give 10% back
to Kentucky
to Lexington.
To Lexington,
right?
Because to answer your question, you've invested. You love Lexington. We love Lexington because we're here. These players that came in on the Cal was just here for the moment to take what they take and go back to. And they probably giving a lot of money. People, don't get me twisted. They're probably giving a lot of money back to their hometown because that's what they're about. I mean, if I made $20 million, my hometown is what?
Bowling Green.
Do I not love Bowling Green? I love being a Purple, but you don't think I'm giving money to Lexington? Yes,
because that's where the fans are, and that's the part that I don't, where there's a disconnect for me, because I'm like, but it should be about giving back to the fans. So when you're here in Lexington and you're playing in Lexington, all the local kids are coming and watching you playing, and they're the fans, and they're the ones buying all your gear, and they're the ones standing around and wanting your autograph and that type of stuff. So why would you not want to give back to that? That's just my, just my take on that, but we definitely, I definitely am looking forward to spearheading some sort of movement as far as raising the level of sports here in Lexington, especially with girls sports. I think right now we have some really good girls teams going on right now. Douglas's girls are good. Bryant Station girls are good. Henry Clay's girls are good. Coach Daniels has a really, really young team. They're going to be good in the next couple of years. And, so we're coming up. Our volleyball teams here are good. They're doing really good. The middle school girls are good. So we're on a mission. And when I ran into Coach Brooks, I asked him that. I said, "What did I say to Coach Brooks when I ran into him?" When I met Coach Brooks, I said, I ain't telling you what to do.
Yeah, I ain't telling you what to do. Now we both there. What does that mean?
That's the subtle.
I'm telling you what to do.
That's a subtle suggestion.
And you're about to hear it.
I said, I'm not telling you what to do. I said, but I would love for you to have some sort of a program where you help us to develop our girls here in Lexington. Like, why do you have to go recruit everywhere else if you could just develop them all right here, and you know who they are, and they know they have your system, and they know your system, and you already have seen them grow up, and you've seen them develop. Like, I don't understand that. And it's the same thing with football too. And I get it. Everybody is not on the same level, but girls is a little bit different because your roster is only 12. as opposed to 120 or it's getting ready to go down to just 85 in football, right? But so that's a little bit different. But you know, but we still should be getting more than 2 or 3 kids out of Lexington every year at Kentucky.
Lexington has a lot of talent, and I think a lot of it has to do with what you said, Mr. Brown, as it goes back to media. Because if you pub me enough, I'm gonna be a 5-star. Our media does a great job. They do a fantastic job, but they don't overpub a player.
Right.
Because I lived in New York. If they like this person is got something said about them every day. We found that out. Ain't nobody gonna tell us how they give a 4, 5, 3 stars. That's an opinion.
That's an opinion.
That is not based on what you've done or whatever. And then also, if you get that quick 3-star, it don't move.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, you can get a 3-star as a sophomore. You better be moving that mountain before they move you to a 4-star. And a lot of it has to do with the media here in Lexington. If they feel like this kid is that guy, if they feel like, and I go back to a young man that, and I'm not being negative, one of the best players I've ever seen play this game. There's 2 of them. And they didn't pan out in college and go off to the NFL, but they got good lives. Not criticizing. One was Elijah Bell. Oh my gosh!
Out of Winchester.
Out of
Winchester. He went to EKU, right?
No, he didn't stay wherever he went. He ended up he played the high school ball because I can't recall what he did after high school. I know he did not do what he did, and he did not stay in high school, college. I know that. But he's in Florida doing his thing. He owns his own business, fitness.
Right.
But I'm telling you, when, Bell, and then also Fishback that played for Frederick Douglass. Those 2 young men. Oh my gosh! I mean, if you pub them to, what was Fishback's first name?
Damien.
Was it Damien Fishback?
I think Damien.
Yeah. I'm telling you, I know talent. And I'm putting my name, reputation on the line. I've never seen 2 other outstanding athletes, running backs. Everybody has something. Them babies had it. And that's a fact. And they were, oh my God. Fishback, who was a DB, ended up going to running back. But you go back to Elijah Bell.
I remember him. He went to Henry Clay.
He went to Henry Clay.
Henry Clay.
I mean, I'm telling you, if you Google them 2, I'm telling you, gonna go, what? These mothers are not getting 5 stars? That's my point.
But I think that even Dane wasn't was only a 4-star. They never gave him a 5-star, even though Dane should have been a 5-star.
And Ty stayed
at a 3-star. But I think it also goes back to who's doing it, because I know one of the guys that's one of the ESPN writers or rivals or whatever like that. And I inboxed him and I asked him, I said, how comes Ty is still only a 3-star? And he was like, well, I guess I haven't reviewed any more of his film since his sophomore year. I said, how have you not reviewed his film in his sophomore year when he's a Paul Hornick Player of the Year and he's won a state championship? Like, why would you not review him again just to upgrade him to a 4-star? That alone to me should at least upgraded him to no less than a 4-star when you just became the Player of the Year and you just willed your team to a state championship. But that's part of the problem that I have with the system, because it is just like said, it's somebody's opinion. And then a 4-star in Kentucky is not the same 4-star in Georgia or Florida or Texas.
No. Okay, now I gotta be me. To me, they are, but people look at them different because they're there. It's no different than a 4-star in Louisville. And I think it's based on how many high schools are in and you shine above all these high schools. Because people don't realize, you look at Louisville, how many high schools does Louisville got? a lot. Louisville's got a lot of high schoolers.
So you have a lot more competition to go against.
You got more comparison. And in Lexington in the last few years, besides Bryant Station stepping up, it's only been Frederick Douglass.
Absolutely.
So that sort of hurts you, no disrespect, but that sort of hurts you if you play against them.
But to me, it goes back to, but if you go back to Ty and Dane have been in a championship game since their freshman year, sophomore year, going against the best players in the state, and they've still been there. So why would they not have been labeled a 4-star or a 5-star? To me, that's a perfect example, because they were going up against the best in the state, and then they still only had them labeled as a 3 or a 4. Again, it's somebody's opinion, and there's not a lot of African Americans that are on Rivals or ESPN that are giving the opportunity to be the sports writers, or to be able to give that opinion, that work for those companies, to be able to give those kids those stars. But then there's also a problem that I have with the star system too is, okay, we've had kids that are ranked as 5 stars and they don't play against any competition. You know, they're only in a 3A or a 4A or a 2A or a 1A, and they're doing really well and they get a 5-star rating, but then there's no research as far as who they played against. You're playing against because you went to a private school and you're in the private school sector, and you're not playing against any top candidate. Now, the exception to the rule for me would be Brock Kaufman, because when Brock Kaufman goes to these camps at Ole Miss and at a lot of these other camps, he's balling out against the best players, even though he's plays in a 1A system. But there's a lot of these 1A kids, 2A kids that are getting labeled as 4 stars and 5 stars, but they don't play against any
3
competition.
stars and 4 stars. We don't have no 5 stars.
Our quarterback is a 5-star.
No, he was a 5 star, just 4.
Oh, I think he's a 5-star.
Okay.
What isn't
No, if he is, I did.
Yeah, I think he's 5-star.
4-star.
Was it Cutter? I think Cutter's a 5-star,
which is
right?
very impressive.
Which is very impressive, but
Very impressive.
I'm not impressed with the level of competition that he went up against. And I think it kind of showed in a couple of games, you know, when he was forced to kind of get put into the to play earlier than what he was expected to play.
How does that? What about the kids that come out of Boone County? Not Boone County, Boyle County.
Yeah, Boyle County.
Boyle County's been good for the last 3 years. They really get overlooked when it comes to stars and what they do.
I agree. And what are they, 4A? What are they, 4A? Because Zeismer just left Kentucky, and he's now at EKU. He never got on the field.
And he's going to be good. And then we're going to get Quisenberry, who
we're going to get Quisenberry this year, and he's unbelievable. He's won 4 or 5 of the different. He's Gatorade Player of the Year, the Paul Hornig of the Year. I mean, he's got 2, 3, 4, 5 Players of the Year.
And don't get me wrong, is I just think like the kid that plays for Trinity, the Johnson kid, when I watch him, and everybody's got this negative thing about him, but he's won back-to-back state titles for Trinity as a quarterback, and he's steady. He's not flashy. They got players around him, but that's what you do when you're good. Mm-hmm. You just put your team in a position to be successful. That's what you do. And as a quarterback, he reminds me so much of my quarterback with the 49ers. He's like Brock. He just he's got material around him, and he knows how to use it. Mm-hmm. And that can get you a bubblegum card. He's only going to be a junior at Trinity. Okay. He'll be he won it his freshman year, beat Bryant Station. Then they won it last year, the state title. I forget who they played in 6A.
Wasn't it Frederick Douglass?
No, Frederick was in it.
No, we lost in the Final Four last year.
Who beat Frederick? I can't remember who beat Frederick.
Mayo. One last year.
No, Mel got beat early.
Oh, I done forgot. It's
Okay,
all
Mel
the years
got
it's coming in because
Mel-
they all keep.
Well, Mel got beat early. So
Bullet East.
no,
last
Bullet
year.
was 2 years ago, man. They were.
Are you sure?
Trust me, I'm 100%.
I'm your man.
Yeah,
I'll tell you.
she gonna tell me, but she gonna say she's not gonna say I'm right, Mr. Brown.
Oh, you're probably right.
She's gonna move on for the subject.
Oh no, you're always right, baby.
No, I want to be right. That makes me level. I don't want to be that. But
So you said last year?
yeah. Well, Trinity beat Frederick Douglass. Trinity beat Frederick Douglass.
What?
That was 2 years ago.
23. It was just last year.
Okay.
This is 24.
Okay, who did Trinity beat the championship game?
Bryant Station.
Bryant Station didn't make the championship game this year, baby. It was a year before.
Babe, this is 24. This is last year, 23.
Okay.
And then the year before that, let me show you the year before that.
Trinity got beat by Madison Central this year. Okay.
That was this
Trinity got beat by Madison Central.
for 24.
Babe, this past season, Bryant Station got beat by Madison Central, but it's Routt County who they played.
This year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They didn't.
And last year was Bryant Station.
Oh, I thought you were talking about this year. Yes, I'm sorry. I don't know anything wrong. Okay, we good. Okay, we was talking about 2 different years. But I was talking about this year. I didn't care about last year, babe. And so my point that I'm making is that when Trinity's quarterback this year won back-to-back state titles, beat Bryant Station the year before, like I just said, and then I couldn't remember who they played in the championship this year. They played Routt County. So to me, he's going to be labored probably as a 3-star.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what he is, but he's probably going to be labeled as a 3-star. That's the point of this subject.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, he's going to be labored as a 3-star, but he's doing what he needs to do to be a 4-star. And a 4-star to me doesn't mean that you throw for 4,000 yards. That's me. 4-star is I'm that good. I don't make mistakes. I lead my team to what it matters, and that's a ring. Because a lot of players get 3,000 yards and don't make the second round of the playoffs, but they're labeled as a 3-star. No, because when you play better competition, like the wife says, it all shows. You're not a 3-star. You're a 1-star.
Mm-hmm.
You just happen to run up against people that ain't good. Goes back to Kaufman. Kaufman, to me, shined no matter what level he played in football, no matter who he played against, no matter what it was, he overshined, if I should say.
Because he would go to camps against some of the best in the nation and he would ball out.
No, I'm just saying he put up numbers because I'm very hesitant about who you play.
I agree too.
I'm majorly hesitant.
Because that was the reason why a lot of teams, we were finding out that a lot of teams weren't recruiting him because they felt like he wasn't going against good competition because he was in 1A.
Right. And you go to college, it's done the same way. You go to college and, like everybody made a big deal about Ohio State beating Tennessee, Big Ten SEC. But here's a problem with that. Tennessee doesn't have a $3.5 million NIL deal. Look how many of those players did not play on their team last year. Ohio State's got the best team money can buy. They should be number 1 team in the nation without losing any game because you paid for that and you didn't get it.
Yeah, because there was a lot of.
And then you end up beating Tennessee. Okay,
and
Tennessee.
Everybody's dogging them because they're saying Tennessee was in the SEC.
Okay, but Tennessee is not. Ohio State is a Big Ten big dog.
Mm-hmm.
SEC's big dogs are Georgia, Texas, Ole Miss, LSU, and then Tennessee. So you play SEC's 5th best, and you beat them. Now, what happened if you play Georgia, Alabama, Ole Miss? So does that make is all circling in?
That makes a lot of sense, yeah. But but money is buying. But money is buying 5-star is buying the best players. It's not. They're able to separate.
I don't agree with that.
Ohio State's got $3.1 million they paid in EIL, and they got 2 losses. They got 2 losses. I'm just saying they got 2 losses. And they play Oregon, who beat them the first time they played them. And so
our quarterback on paper was a 5-star out of high school, was on the best team in the nation, the number 2, and he played like a 2-star or a 1-star.
He didn't.
He did.
And he played like a 1 or a 2-star.
No,
right. And so I just feel like what I would like to see, what level did he play in high school? I guarantee he probably was in a private school or something like that. And the level of competition just wasn't that good, but was able to put the numbers up to be able to do that. If I was a high school coach and I had a great player and I wanted to feature that player, I'm going to give them the ball. I don't know how many times where Ty was at Frederick Douglass and his numbers he would have been a 5-star easily, because his numbers would have been incredible if we wasn't blowing teams out by the second quarter. If he was allowed to play the full game, his junior and senior, Ty's junior and senior year, Ty only played, we can count on one hand how many times Ty played the full 4 quarters. Because most of the time they had the team blowed out by the end of the first quarter or the second quarter. And so he didn't play the whole second half.
But they had some pretty good players on that team too. And so you had to give them the ball. I mean, I'm not saying they did. They had some pretty good players. His senior year when they won a championship, he stood out, but they had some pretty good players that could flat out play. And that's why that team is probably one of the best teams in Lexington. And they'll be nominated in Layshaw soon, because that team was just loaded with unbelievable. And then your best, it's sort of like no different than Chicago Bears. I mean, the Bears, they had a great team in '85. They had a lot of great players, and you remember that, had a lot of great players, but they had a few that stood out above the greatness.
Oh, I'm glad you brought up Chicago. So, Mr. Brown, here's a subject change. So Chicago Bears fired Lovie Smith when he was 10-6, and they've been garbage ever since.
Yeah, their organization is terrible. I feel
like it's karma.
Well, you're right, because Lovie Smith had a winning record. They settled on some quarterbacks that wasn't that good. I think they got Jay Cutler was under center for a few years.
Yep.
Few other guys that was under center. They get rid of Justin Fields, who they just didn't give enough time to develop Fields, who I believe would have turned things around. Caleb Williams.
I don't know, because they still having the same problems with the little kid they got now.
Yeah, Caleb Williams.
With Caleb Williams.
But I think Justin Fields came in being tutored under 2 great programs. That he was down at Georgia under Kirby Smart, I think, was the coach then. Then he went up to Ohio State and was able to learn a whole bunch of knowledge up there. Was in conversation of being a Heisman candidate.
Yes.
So Justin Fields came out of high school as the number 1 or number 2 quarterback in the nation, I think behind Trevor Burbick. Memory served me correctly. He made the right decision to leave Georgia because he wasn't going to take I think they
didn't give him the opportunity to compete for the position.
He was 28.
So when he went to Ohio State, his name, really, he just blew up that particular year. And Jalen Hurts, when he left Alabama, went to Oklahoma, his name, blew up. So I think that Justin Fields been around enough coaches to understand the knowledge of the game. I think the injury hurt him last year. I believe they stuck with Justin Fields another couple of years, that their record, they would have more wins than losses.
Well, in my opinion, it's the same difference with the 49ers. The highlights, going back to 4-star, 5-stars, how much pub you get. Offensive players get a lot of pub. Okay, when people talk about how Josh Allen comes back, how Brady came back, don't the defense have to turn the ball over for you to get a chance to come back? Okay, to me, Chicago's biggest problem was when you got rid of 2 of your D linemen, your linebacker, and 3 of your safety, your DBs. Okay, because that's the key. Everybody always talking about offense, people. Wait a second. You can't come back from 21 points unless the defense turns the ball over. And you have to have, because I remember the 49ers when Harbaugh with the 49ers and Stevie played for Kentucky, Stevie Johnson, who used to play for the Buffalo Bills, came to the Niners. And Stevie would make it crystal clear that the locker room was separate because Harbaugh favored the offense. So the next year, the 49ers was supposed to be good. His last year, they lost 6 out of the 11 starters that decided to move on their contract. So the Chicago Bears, if you look at them, how many of the defensive guys returned that was supposed to be a pretty good defense? Because, everybody loves the shining gold 25 piece, but that little quarter spins too. And you have to have a good defense to turn it over. Like when they gave Brady all the pub, but it was the defense that turned the ball over. They won 3 Super Bowls for him. It wasn't him, but since he's the quarterback, he got the pub. And that's all people talk. Justin Fields the same way in Chicago. No different Chicago now. If you want to start winning, what does Kansas City's defense do? They make stops.
And they're only scoring less than 30 points a game.
They make stops. Everybody needs to start getting that in their head. They make stops. And that's defense. That's how you win games, because defense wins games and wins championships, and offense is about how many people you play. That's why they changed the rules so much towards offense. The rules are way over here towards offense, because if they didn't change the rules, offense wouldn't score. So they have to change.
So, Mr. Brown, there's a lot of I know we're in a couple of multiple groups and we're always talking Kentucky football all the time. So, what do you think about the transfer portal? I think the last time I looked, they were like number 5th or number 6th transfer portal as far as the turnover rate. As Justin Rowland, if you don't have it, I'll send it to you. He did like a side by side of the players that went into the portal, and then who we replaced them with. And I think the only area where we did not upgrade might have been with Dane Key and Bryant Brown at the wide receiver. But it looks like in all the other areas, it's an upgrade. We got more players that got more snaps and have a little bit more experience coming in. So what's they talking about in the social media world?
Here's my take on that. I think that if you it's like Dane Key, and even if Ty Bryant played on the offensive side of the ball, that those kids have been catching the football ever since they was in Pee Wee football. I believe that you can go out and get a core wide receivers. They can be 3 stars or 4 stars. But if you don't, and if you got the right quarterback to get them the ball, that particular end of the offensive sets is shored up. I think Coach Bryant makes an excellent point about defense, because these offensive coordinators, particularly in the SEC, they have so many unbelievable plays that they call. And if you don't have the cornerbacks and the safeties to be able to get on these guys, they got, world-class speed, they can catch the ball, that you lose ground when you don't have defensive secondary. Because I think you can just always go out and get cornerbacks. But you got to come in with a quarterback that can put the ball on the receiver to allow them to advance for first downs and break off for touchdown. And unfortunately, Kentucky just didn't have that with Brock this year. And I don't even know the guy, Zach, I think is the guy they just got this week.
Mm-hmm. He played under Jimbo Fisher at
Texas A&M.
A&M for 3 seasons, and then I forgot where he was last year.
I mean, you know,
I think this is his 6th year, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, the transfer portal puts a lot of pressure on coaches that have not been with these kids for 2 or 3 years. And I mean, you almost got to go and look at film and scout these kids on film.
You have to.
Yes, you know.
And then I don't think the transfer portal is open long enough for you to really do. When you got 7,000 players in the transfer portal, you don't have time to really get, you got to have a great, okay, if I have my graduate student looking at film, who is my graduate student that's actually cutting up this film, that's giving me opinion or giving me, is he getting adequate film on what I really need to see in order to make a decision on whether or not we're going to offer this kid in the portal or not?
Well, babe,
that would be very difficult.
Well, hey, Mr. Brown and Mr. Coach, here it is. It's not that he doesn't have the film; he doesn't have the knowledge of what maybe Stoops is looking for.
That's what I meant. Yes.
Yeah, because like you say to me a lot of times, what do you say? We don't see that. Because I go, guys, you don't see that?
And we're like, you see stuff that we don't see because of your experience.
And you're asking these coaches to win and pay them, and then all of a sudden they don't have a life. They don't have nothing. I mean, people think this is all they want to do all day long. No,
some of them have kids and want to do stuff.
Enron, the defensive tackle for the University of Kentucky, man, he's raising his daughter by himself right now, while his wife is in not here in the States. And he wants to get home to his daughter, but he still got to do his job. So with that said, you're asking this young man to take all of his time and go look at a kid, and
then report back. Whether or not you think,
I commend him. I commend all coaches.
It's hard for these coaches in this day, because how are you supposed to be able to go through 7? There were, I think the day that the portal opened, there were over 7,000 players in the portal.
Man.
And so now now again, you have to go by somebody's opinion. Again, the same ones that do the 3-star, 4 stars, and 5-star, and half of them don't know what the heck they're looking at as far as talent. And it's based off of their opinion. It's not based off the opinion on the coach, because the coach might look at him as a Coach Bryant is like that. We might look at the same player. I might think he's a 3-star, and Coach Bryant is like, oh, he's garbage.
Yeah, we've done that.
We've done that. I'm like, oh, he's good. He's like, oh, no, he's not good at all.
I don't use the word.
And vice versa.
I just say he's not good.
And it's been like that vice versa, where, I think a player should be someplace, in our offense or on our defense, and I'll give a suggestion on switching somebody out. And then he'll look at me all side-eyed, cross-eyed, and then he'll process it for a while, and then he'll try him out, and then he'll try him out. Sometimes I hit it on the money, and sometimes they make me look bad, because I see something in them, and then they don't come through like I feel like that they should have. And I tell them, you only got one chance with Coach Bryant to make a good, or with any coach, to make a good impression. If I put my name on you and I think you do, you better be ready to perform.
Well, and it also comes down to, if it's a kid that I sit there and I go, babe, no, he's not it. He can't do it. And she'll go, yeah, he can. No, he can't. And then it's one more time, yeah, he can. And then I have to look at her, and I go, babe, he's not playing. And I walk away. And I'm hoping I can get out of there. I hope I get out of there, Brown. I just hope I get in the back of the head.
But I can imagine what the coaches is going through, and that's why I try to stay out of the chats in the groups and stuff on social media, because we got all these couch coaches that have no idea about about navigating through this. They're like, well, why don't this play? Well, why did you like the play when he should have went forward on fourth down in the Georgia game? I said that. I said I don't know if I would have went for it on fourth in the Georgia game when I felt like the week before we couldn't go 4th and 1 against South Carolina, and South Carolina shouldn't have been as good as Georgia. So I'm thinking like, why? Logically for me as a female, I'm thinking, how are we gonna go forward on 4th and 7 against Georgia and we can't go 4th and 1 against South Carolina?
Right.
That was my logic. I'm not saying that I was right. That was just my logic on why I felt like it was the right decision for him to go to not go forward in the Georgia game. And I'm not sure if that was his rationale, but that was just my rationale. And so people are dogging him, and then he went forward in Ole Miss, and it just happened to just work out in his favor. But that doesn't necessarily mean it would have happened in the Georgia game. I just think we're 3 or 4 plays in the Georgia game, in the Texas game, in the Tennessee game. If we don't get some key penalties in the Vanderbilt game, and we were up 10 points, and then we get some key. I mean, this season could have easily been 9-3, 8-4, easily. We could have even been a top 10 team had we made key plays when we needed to play and didn't make the mistakes that we needed to make. You have to play flawless in the SEC, and you have to be locked in every play. I thought some of the refereeing was questionable in some of our games. I thought every time Dane Key touched the ball, it was an offensive. He should have got a flag because they're draping all over him. But he didn't. I think he might have got maybe one offensive interference call all season.
You think about transfer. Now the kid that came, now he's at Toledo. I can't think of his last name. Again with
Trey, the one that came from. This is going to be his 4th school in 6 years.
Yeah, but why? I mean, why go to Toledo? Why not?
Why go to Toledo? Why not stay here in Kentucky when you didn't even play this year?
Right. I just, those are the questions, and the thoughts when the transfer
makes no sense.
And you can't, as a coach, how can you really know what's coming back to dial into the chemistry, to dial into what you try to succeed in? You give all of this talent. I mean, you give all these plays to these kids. You hope the kid comes back. He doesn't come back. You right back to the drawing board to come up and introduce all of these new schemes to new players. That is a tremendous to do in this age of collegiate football.
I mean, because look at because how many players that we lose to the portal?
Maybe half of them.
22?
Damn.
22.
22 kids to the portal, and you added 25 freshmen. So you're talking about almost a quarter of your roster, or almost a third of your roster is turnover. And how are you supposed to be able to do that? I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, everybody can't do what Mark Pope did and just go start from scratch and just get a whole new team and be successful.
Right.
Basketball is totally different. You can't do that same thing with football.
Absolutely not. Then you have 2 veteran receivers to leave, Dane, Barry, and
Brown. Yes.
That's. I mean, those guys. You think you have those guys coming back? They know the offensive play. Get them to marry a quarterback, a good quarterback coming in, because they catch the ball, and that's a whole bunch. You have to restart your whole offensive schemes. It's tough. $9 million might not be enough. That's a lot of headache to go with that. For sure.
I mean, I just don't know. So I try to stay out. It's hard for me to be in the, especially on the Kentucky football groups and stuff like that with all these couch coaches, because again, y'all obviously didn't watch the games, because if you would watch the game, you would have saw that I think one of the biggest criticisms against Coach Stoops is he didn't have discipline on his team. How are you supposed to discipline a kid in this day and age? Because if you don't do what they want you to do, you can't be hard on them or whatever. They just quit and just go into the portal.
Right.
You can't coach them like that anymore.
They can rebel against you in the 6th or 7th grade, in the 6th or 7th game, where they just don't perform or play hard.
Yeah, absolutely.
You make a good point, because in the Texas game, if Bryant Brown doesn't get that penalty in the end zone, that would have changed the game. That was a big play.
Maxwell?
No, yeah, Maxwell.
Well, it was Maxwell. They got
Maxwell.
that. It was Maxwell. Yeah.
Right. Max doesn't get the penalty in the end zone. They don't score. Those points stay off. We get the ball back, and you just have no idea. But that just kills momentum. Yes. And that's what I'm talking about. And we can go in every game. We can give 3 or 4 plays that were pivotal in the win or the loss of those games. Even the Georgia game. I felt like we got cheated on that reversal of that interception.
Absolutely.
Okay. But there were but there was a play where we had them 3rd and 25, and we let them catch the ball.
Yeah. That was critical.
To me, that was a breakdown. Like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Mentally. Again, Coach Bryant will get mad at me because he's like, well, you're not a DB, so you don't know. You never played that, so you don't know. But I'm thinking but Coach Bryant.
What are you talking?
But that's how you do me.
No, I'm saying there's certain plays that when you ask why didn't they make a tackle, I will say, babe, you don't understand. That's totally different. That's not the same thing. That doesn't.
My bad.
Okay, that doesn't fall in the same category as in every play because you're not a DB, you don't know what you're talking about. I've never said that. What I'm saying is there are certain situations, and I go back what we talked about an hour ago. There's certain situations in female basketball I cannot explain, and I don't try to because I've never been there. There's certain situations in volleyball I cannot explain. I've never played volleyball. Lacrosse, I can't explain it. And I don't try to.
And that's my bad.
Yeah, I don't try to because I can't explain why.
But yeah, we could talk about this all day, Mr. Brown.
Sure enough. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Sir?
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. All the information I get from your show is extremely beneficial in talking to other people.
We've enjoyed it. What's been your favorite show so far? Or your top 3?
I'll tell you what, I mean, it's really the favorite show has been every show because you've been able to get people to think about their life experience away from sports, and the personal testimonials that people had given on your show was extremely moving. And we've talked about it off air. Sister Sneed gave a testimony, gave full disclosure of personal stuff in her life, and it's difficult for people to give personal stuff in their life.
Absolutely.
It was a female that you had on that was part of the I think the administration athletic department, University of Kentucky. They gave full disclosure that she had a child as a juvenile, and so many stories that made people's the personal things that they confronted and that they volunteered to give on your show was inspirational to me because it just make us all just mortal, that we all go through what we go through, and for these people to say that and not protect that personal privacy, I just thought that was just incredible that they answered the question.
Well, I'm about to do what I do. She don't like it, but I'll let her close you out. This is her show. I'm a guest. I appreciate you having me on. I appreciate you coming on, Brown.
Yes.
And the thing about it is I had to call some people not to come and break down your door, to make you come on. So I called them. They're not going to come. They're not coming. I tell the wife they're good. Yeah, I didn't want you to wake up with a horse head in your bed. I've seen Godfather 1. So,
but I thought you see what I'm saying. I thought that people didn't know the name Cisco circles. So you do have people in these circles, then.
yeah, me. All right, hey. God bless. And again, Merry Christmas as it's still Christmas. And if we don't talk to you, Happy New Year's. And please tell your wife, and I'll let you close out with the star of the show, my girl. All right. Appreciate you, baby. Love you.
Thank you, Coach Cisco. Appreciate it.
All right. Oh, by the way, I forgot, in case I didn't put this up yet. I know I didn't put this up yet, but I'm going to miss this guy. I'm going to miss our baby. I'm going to miss Mr. Key, and
we're gonna miss Dane.
We're gonna miss Dane.
Matter of fact, we've already looked at the schedule off week to see whether or not we can go watch him play. I think they're gonna be in Maryland. They play Maryland in Maryland. I think on the second off week, because the first off week I think is gonna be the Lexington African American Sports Hall of Fame, and then that second off bye week for Kentucky. Nebraska's playing in Maryland. We're looking to go to play. We're looking to go to that game.
We're going. We ain't looking. We're going to support
to go support Dane.
Dane and DK, DK and Nicole and Devin as well. His brother who plays for the
Denver Broncos.
Denver Broncos. So. So we're excited. So anyway, I appreciate you again. Tell your wife we're sorry we kept you so long, but your information helps out a lot. And you saw her, you did see her yell at me, right? Did you see her you saw it? Come on now.
But you gave full disclosure. It's her show.
Yeah. Oh wow. Go.
I appreciate you so much. You've I think inspired me probably the most because you bring just so many engaging and thought-provoking questions. You've actually helped me to raise my level of thinking as far as asking questions on my show. And my auntie's still on. We've been on here 2 hours. Auntie, you still on here? Thank you. And so I just thank you and appreciate you. So Mr. Brown, what's something you've never said publicly that you've never had an opportunity or a platform to say publicly that you would like to? Do you have anything?
Yeah, I thought that. Yeah, I do. I think that, in life you learn that you go from 40 to 60 quick, and that you have to take and make sure that you make space for all your love. And you'll realize that when you do that, that it'll make your life more beneficial, that your life had meaning to people. And so, I want to encourage people to do that, that you take and include, everybody in your life, tell people you love them. And that is that's what I'm grounded on. And I went into the ministry when I was young. It taught me a lot. I went into business when I was young. It taught me a lot that if you treat people the right way, then they will communicate. And if you treat people the right way, it'll make you a better person. And when you're a better person, it helps to reflect and deflect against racism. It'll deflect against certain things in life, including death, because you're able to be strong. So that's my testimony.
I love it and I appreciate it. So we didn't get a chance to talk on that because with you being a businessman, were there anything from sports that helped propel you into being an entrepreneur?
That's a hell of a question, because absolutely. because I never wanted to lose. And when I went into business when I was 20 years old. I owned two companies. Me and another 36. I was 20. We had first ones to have a minority company. So we was able to do business with large corporations in the city, IBM, General Electric, Kentucky Utility, and then we had a chemical company, a private label chemical company, which was unique because we might have been the only ones in this region that was African American identified, that allowed us to, grow our business. So for the last 40 plus years, I was able to use winning in sports, and seeing what it takes to be better through sports. That you never give up, you never give in, you never let when a person says no, that encourages you to make them say yeah by not giving up. So yeah, that been in business and been in sports and playing sports all the many years made me a better business person.
Oh my goodness. I think that's probably one of the biggest things that takeaways, um, and not just in business, but just in corporate America or any in life,
Mm-hmm.
period. I think sports just is just a catalyst to help you to be able to go through a lot of stuff in life, especially the adversity part. Because
Right.
in sports, you really have to, you deal with a lot of adversity. You're not always going to be the winner. And so winning and losing helps you to be able to overcome that adversity, and you have to be able to have that when you get into the real world, and whether you're an entrepreneur or whether you're working for someone else. But I'm really huge into the entrepreneurship. I think all the tools that we have in this day and age makes it so much easier to be an entrepreneur, because I mean, you can literally now, because of the internet, you can go on the internet now and be faceless. Like, people don't even have to know that you're behind,
Mm-hmm.
that you're the owner of the company, but you can put whatever face that you want on it to, or just be faceless or whatever, and people have no idea as long as they're getting the information that is needed. And I think that's the avenue that I'm getting ready to embark in, is some type of a faceless business where people won't even know it's mine.
Well, you have the personality and the strength to do it, the personality to do it. What encouraged me, and I'll say this and then I'll let you go, is that I always followed Muhammad Ali. That Muhammad Ali meant so much to us young guys as teenagers growing up. He had so much confidence. He didn't back down. He was the only one that could express black, and maybe could use the N word on ABC and wherever he went at. That he
Hmm.
has confident. That he said he was pretty. He talked. He talked all the time. And he was just an unbelievable individual that made me in particular, just have so much confidence. And it was because of Muhammad Ali. It was because of Muhammad Ali.
Oh wow.
That I followed him his whole career, and that's who that's who I looked at, was Muhammad Ali. I feel
Okay,
like
well, that would have been a good question for me to ask. Like, who was one of your top people that you looked up to, that helped mold you?
it was Muhammad Ali.
Ali?
Uh,
Oh, that's a
I
good one.
I saw Muhammad Ali one time when he was at Commonwealth Stadium promoting a fight. It might have been in 1974. I went under 15 or 16 years old, and he was coming out of the corridor to go into his limousine, and he waved at us and everything. Football game that I guess Kentucky had played, and I followed him throughout all of his fights. And you didn't have um, the TVs where you get it and stream it on your TV. We had what was
Hmm.
called closed circuit. So
Hmm.
we went to Memorial Coliseum to see him fight on what it was called closed circuit. And I seen him when he fought, Joe Frazier, his first fight, and when he beat the bully, George Foreman, in, a fight to where people thought he was going to get clobbered, but I knew he wasn't going to lose. I knew Muhammad Ali wasn't going to lose that fight. And he developed what was called the rope a dope. And then when you get in situations that we are confronted as African Americans, we have to use the rope a dope to to get away from our oppressors. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. Yes.
And the things where when he talked, he backed it up, and he meant so much to me. And I wanted to go to his funeral. It was just 80 miles from Lexington in Louisville. Had some things to come up where I couldn't go. I wanted to be a part of that because Muhammad Ali meant so much to me.
Oh, that's good stuff. Well, thank you. I appreciate you being on. I'm gonna end this stream. Finally, I think this is the longest we've been on. 2 hours. Look, 2.5, almost 2.5 hours. I didn't care how long it was gonna go because I knew I don't know when next time I get you on again. So I took advantage of it. I hope you don't mind.
No, I'm good.
Okay, well, don't log off. But
Okay.
I am going to end the stream. So everybody, thank y'all for staying on. Merry Christmas again. I think we'll see you one more time before is New Year's next week? Next week?
Yes, ma'am, it is.
Yeah, so we'll see you New Year's. I don't know if we're going out, but we'll be here New Year's, and we'll see you guys then. Thank y'all for coming in. Make sure you go and follow me on Facebook and Hits and Heels, and on YouTube at Hits and Heels on YouTube. Thank y'all so much, and I appreciate y'all.